join me in saluting the flag of our great nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody just could remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, for all our first responders, and Maria Boscia passed away since our last meeting. She was president of the Women's Club for 10 years? Yeah, and she lived in town a long time, so just have your thoughts and prayers for the family. Thank you. All right, on the workshop. April, want to go over best practice?
Yes, you've all received a copy of the 2019 Best Practices Checklist. We just have to state at the public meeting that you've all reviewed it. That's it.
Yes, okay. And then that's for, it's for our insurance company to make sure that we're all up to date with that.
No, this is for the state aid.
Oh, the state aid, okay, all right. All right, thank you. The other thing that we have on workshops, I'm sure that everybody had read the tapped into article. We received the bids back for our carting services for the recyclables, and they went up 67%. So after discussion with our business administrator, Kirschenbaum, and our DPW supervisor, Mike Campbell, we have a truck sitting in Borough Yard. It's a garbage truck. So we are looking at not hiring anybody to do it, but rearranging some of the personnel on Wednesdays to do it ourselves, because we think that we could have a big savings. So we're gonna try it out. We're gonna start it. We're gonna see how it goes. At any time that we don't think that it's working right, we could always go out and rebid it. But with the 67% increase in the position that we're in, we think that we could save a lot of money. So we're going to head in that direction. And our business administrator, along with our DPW supervisor, thinks that that's the direction we should go. So we're going to try that out. If any of the council members have any questions on that?
No, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, my one concern, the plan as proposed is that one of the things we would do to save money is close the recycling center on Sunday, which it's open for a half a day now from 9 to 12, correct? I can see the need for savings. I'm not sure, I just wonder about whether it serves the residents to have it closed one of the weekend days. I know personally, I take my recycling over there quite often on Sunday, and I'm just wondering if maybe there would be another day. I mean, if we closed maybe, just for example, like on Thursday, so we're closed 2 days in a row, we actually would save more money because it's a full day. I'm just wondering if that might be something we would want to think about.
If the question is directed to me, you should direct it to Mr. Kirschenbaum. He certainly makes all the financial
Okay.
things. But again, the original plan was, it used to be closed on Wednesdays, and it was closed on Wednesdays because that's the recycling day, so people could sit home, we'll pick it up for them. And also on the Sundays, it's just how it was in the past. But again, your plan would be to, for a full day of recycling. So again, if Mr. Kirschenbaum wishes, I do want to make one comment on the mayor's comment. We are going to take it over temporarily, but we're not going to fail. That I can promise you. If we take over something, it's because Mr. Kirschenbaum and I have sat down, we've gone over the numbers, the people, we're going to rearrange things, we're going to make it happen. The increase was way too much, so at the mayor and Mr. Kirschenbaum's request, we're going to do it, and we are not going to fail. You will have equal, if not better service, I promise that.
I do have to say the savings is projected over what that will be. Really outstanding savings. Really nice job.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Moving on, we have back on, I know we tabled it for a while because we were taking a look at a few things about this bond ordinance. It was $1.3 million, and $1 million we have to pay back to the beach utility. We have to do that by the end of the year. And we were looking at the savings that had taken place, the 900,000, we were thinking about using some of that, but after we took a look at it, the $1 million is gonna go back to the beach. The 300,000 is gonna be to pay off the Lake Como outflow pipe so that we could get the money back from FEMA. Everything has to be paid before we can submit all the rest of the FEMA payments. So we're gonna use that money, and hopefully that within a few weeks, the $1 million that goes to the beach, we're gonna pay down some bond, we're gonna pay down the $1 million worth of bonds on the beach for the 10th Avenue Pavilion, and then the 300,000 we're gonna use to pay off the Lake Como outfall pipe so we can get some of that money back. So, and the 900,000 we're gonna put in the capital improvements because we need that water tower painted on 12th Avenue. It needs to be done. And as we heard from our engineer last week, or last meeting, the firehouses, all 3 firehouses have bad roofs, so we have to get done and stop the water infiltration in them. And the 9th Avenue has siding that is coming off the building. So we're gonna use the 900,000 coming up in the 2020 budget to try to get some of these projects done. So that's why the bond ordinance is back on after we discussed it. If anybody has any questions about that? Okay, we'll move on. And then I'm gonna have our business administrator talk about our rating for the flood mitigation.
So thank you, Mayor. Our preliminary report from our floodplain administrator, we were at a 6 with our rating system for our floodplain. I know there was a question in January or February by one of the residents to see if we can get that down. The team worked pretty hard, worked very hard, and the preliminary report comes back that we are now down to a 5, but realistically we qualify for a 4. There's not many municipalities in the state of New Jersey that are at a 4. All we have to do is do a couple prerequisite programs in 2020, and our goal is to get our rating down to a 4, and that saves a lot of money for a lot of our residents that are in the flood insurance program. And that's why we work so hard to try to get to this rating system. So we set out to do so, and I think it's, I thank the team, Peter Avakian and Christine Bell from our Avakian and our Public Works and our municipal staff to work so hard on getting our rating down. So we're down from a 6 to a 5, and hopefully I'll report in the summer of 2020 we'll be down to a 4. So the staff did a great job there.
Thank you, Business Administrator Kirschenbaum. And yes, I have to agree, they worked very hard to get that number down, and I'm confident that we're going to get the 4 rating, which will save our residents money on, and whoever has the flood insurance, they'll get a reduction in premiums. I think that's all I have. Any of the rest of the council have anything? Do they want to bring up a workshop? All right. We'll move on to petitions. Anybody have any petitions in the audience? All right, seeing none. April, approval of minutes?
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 15th meeting?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Lund? Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay. Public session on any of the resolution items.
What's the council?
What's that?
Skip reports.
Oh, reports of council? All right, hold on a minute. I'm skipping ahead. Hold on. Councilman Carvelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I have been pretty busy for the past couple of weeks, so I have sort of a light report. But, you know, I know the election has not yet been certified, but, you know, I want to, but, you know, presumably it's going to stand, and Councilman McCracken and I won. And I just want to make sure and say that we didn't win to the exclusion of anyone. Jim and I are Belmartians, and that's what we're here for. And we want everybody, residents and property owners, to be involved in the process. So, like I said, we're here for everyone, and we're going to work hard. And that's my, oh no, wait, so. The only other thing I have is the mobile site launched. So when you go to belmar.com on your phone, it'll now redirect to a mobile-friendly site. So go and check that out. I know that we are going to continue working on making the rest of the website mobile responsive. Just the front page is mobile-friendly right now. But you know, over the coming months, we're going to be converting all of the back-end pages to mobile responsive and/or mobile-friendly. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Craig.
I'd also like to thank everybody who believed in Tom and I and supported us yesterday. Look forward to serving all of you for a full term starting on January 1st and working with the council people that we have up here with this team. The Housing Authority met on Monday at 5:15. The budget was approved, so we're all set to go for next year. The residents, Mike Carr, who's the superintendent out there, did a nice job decorating in front of the building for Halloween, and the residents had an activity where they had a pumpkin carving contest, and all those pumpkins decorated the front of the building, and it was kind of neat. They were staring at us as we were leaving our meeting. So, other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Wong.
Thank you, Mayor. And congratulations to my mates. I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for us. We are a great team, and we're doing and trying ever so hard to do the best for Belmar. Thank you, everybody. Now, if you go outside now that it's dark, you will see the decorations down, the lights down Main Street is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. And we want to thank Sal, the business partnership, Belmar Business Partnership. I guess it's the Visual Improvement Committee that did this, and it's just beautiful. Last night, it was rather late, and I just happened to look down Main Street, and there wasn't a car around, and it was like a tunnel of lights. It was absolutely beautiful, so thank you very much. That was wonderful. I also want to remind everybody that Veterans Day is coming up on Monday, November 11th, and there's going to be a memorial at Monument Row, Main Street, between 12th and 13th at 9 a.m. Remember our veterans. Also, at that time, November 13th, the USS Juno, which is the ship that was sunk at Guadalcanal, 1942, I think it was. We lost 4 residents in Belmar on that ship, along with the 5 Sullivan brothers. And the churches have an event on Wednesday, November 13th at 7 o'clock. It's going to be at the Calvary Baptist Church on 9th Avenue. If you can, please attend that memorial. Let's see, I guess, oh, yes. Drew would kill me if I forgot this. The police are having along with the Friendly Sons of the Shillelagh, their annual toy drive. And there'll be a drop-off. They had 76 boxes to local businesses in Belmar and Lake Como to collect unwrapped toys, books, games for children between the ages of 2 months and 19 years. These collection boxes will be available until December 6th. So this toy drive will benefit organizations like the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at CHOP, Children's Hospital, Turning Lives Around, Belmar Department of Social Services. So unwrapped gifts can also be dropped off at the police station. One more, free holiday concert. Free holiday concert for Belmar Cares Breast Cancer Support Group will be Monday, November 25th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Taylor Pavilion. The Atlantic Wind Ensemble will be playing. And that's all my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't have much of a report. I want to also congratulate Councilman McCracken and Councilman Carvelli. I also want to congratulate all the candidates. Everybody up here can tell you that it takes a lot of effort. You really have to put yourself out there and do your hardest to try to campaign, especially knowing that you have a chance of losing. There's no guarantee in winning. So I think we should congratulate all the candidates for giving it a shot. And my other report is, I love the lights too. I love that. That's what a great image. And now we're gonna be hanging across the street too. Is that, were you doing that too?
No.
Yeah, or no? Okay, just that? That's great.
I think that's all the PPP could afford, right?
It's, the lights, it's beautiful. I love the way it looks. Okay, that's my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Council President Brennan. Just a quick report from me. I want to thank all the voters that came out. You know, it's on election day, it's always difficult to get everybody out to vote, but we had a good turnout that come out to vote, and I also want to congratulate Jim McCracken and Tom Carvelli. They ran a very positive campaign and stayed with the facts, and they had a good result. And I also like to thank all the candidates that run, because like Tom said, it's never an easy thing to do. You know, you work so hard, you never know, you're not sure if you're going to win. But so I thank them for stepping up. But so congratulations, you guys. And I also want to thank the DPP for the lights. They're paying for them, so that's even better. But thanks, Sal, thanks, Tom. I see two of them here. I don't see anybody else, but yeah, they were really nice. They looked really good. So good job. And that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have. All right, now we can move on to public session consent agenda. Katrina.
Good evening, Katrina Collapses B Street, and congratulations, gentlemen. My question's about 2019-210, the last one on the bottom of the page in the back with the bonding. Could you just explain this a little? What are we doing? We have 33 outstanding bonds that we're combining all together into one gigantic bond. Could you guys give us a rundown of that? And is there a reason for that, to try to kind of bring down some of the interest payment, to get a handle on how it's being paid all in one place instead of a little bit here, a little bit there? Could you guys just explain that a little?
The problem is with this one here is that none of these change orders were done by resolution, so technically we can't pay them. I'll let Mrs. Administrator Kirschner go in a little bit deeper, but we have to pass a resolution to get some of these things paid, because there was change orders and there was a lot of different things. Change orders.
Wait, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 20-210, the bond, the 29.
Oh, this one down here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, all right. I'm looking at the last of the resolution. All right. I didn't see it was under ordinances. This one is this the one with the,
So I asked a lot of questions about this one.
Yeah,
Can I-
okay. Maybe somebody can,
I think you're correct, what you said. We have about 30 different short-term bonds. Every time we renew those short-term bonds, there's what we call cost of issuance. It's very expensive,
right,
much more so than doing it once and doing it right. So that's what this is all about.
right. So the whole idea is it's going to be a bond or a note? Like notes are the
No, this will be a
short-term thing,
bond.
right? Bonds are the longer-term thing, so we're trying to roll all this together in one big gigantic lump.
That's correct, and it's no new indebtedness, it's just consolidated.
Right. And then also I would assume that you have a much more focused payment plan, because you don't have, you're going to pay this one versus paying that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is converting the short-term debt, where we're not paying down the principal,
Any principal at
to a
all.
long-term level payment,
Right,
where we are paying down the principal.
okay.
Councilman, the rates now, if anybody reads.
Right, do we have any idea what those rates are gonna be yet? Or do we have any idea what the rate is gonna be yet, or is this, no?
Best we
Okay.
can get.
The best you can get, right?
Well, and also when you do a larger, bond,
You can get a
you
better
get
rate.
a better rate.
Right, I think this is terrific, I just wanted to say, and thank you, that's what I have.
You're
Thanks.
Anyone else? Yes, Joe.
Joan Carollo, A Street. Katrina went through everything I was going to ask. Is this 40 years on these bonds? What is the length?
They're usually.
Is it a
I'm sorry.
40-year
No, I
bond?
don't think that, I think they're usually 20 or so, but the auditor and the financial advisor can tell you better than I can, but they're usually around 20-year bonds. But I'm not sure.
Oh, so
I
I
don't
don't
think
have an
they're
answer.
I don't think they're 40.
I can get you the answer tomorrow. I don't have it right in front of me. I can talk to
Oh,
Christine.
okay, whether it's 20, 30.
They're trying to get the best,
I understand,
yeah.
but I just wanted to know the length of the bond, and because, like you say, the usefulness of some of this equipment, whatever was bonded, is already, you know, negative, so, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, April. Oh, back.
Hi, Brett Lomas, 609 Ninth Ave. My questions are about the ordinance on the back with the redevelopment zone. Am I ready? Is this the right time to do that, or?
No, when we go into ordinances, it'll be a public session.
Perfect, thank you, sorry about that.
All right. Anyone else? All right, April.
Can I get a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Wong? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes, but I'm abstaining from 2019-205.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next is the public hearing on ordinance 2019-32. If anyone from the public would like to comment on this ordinance, please step forward.
Yes, Mr. Kramer.
Is that the bond ordinance for the two projects, the streetscape and the Lake Como pipe?
Well, one of them is the Lake Como pipe. And then this is the second reading of the ordinance for the $1 million go back to the beach.
Right.
Yeah, it's the $1 million that we have to owe the beach utility back. And the $300,000 is to finish out, close out the Lake Como outfall project, so we can send all the bills to FEMA and get reimbursed. That's what this bond is for.
Oh, no streetscape?
I think the streetscape was handled. We did the streetscape one already. Yeah. Yeah, that one's paid. But this is the one where we have to put $1 million back in the beach utility. We're gonna use that $1 million to pay down the 10th Avenue pavilion debt.
Okay, no comments, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
I have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
All in favor? And then a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-32.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Wong? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next is first reading and introduction on ordinance 2019-35, an ordinance of the mayor and council determining that the redevelopment plan recommended by the planning board for block 95 should be established, rezoned and accordingly. This is to establish the plan for the zone area, the new redevelopment zone for block 95. So this is just first reading and introduction, so do we have a motion to offer it and schedule it for public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Councilman Lund? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next, we have one more resolution. This is related to bond ordinance 2019-32, which is why it's after the adoption. So can we have a motion to approve resolution 2019-210?
I'll make the motion.
Question,
Wait, I'm confused.
I didn't know what you said.
Mr. Kramer wants a question on this one.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Come on.
yeah, I just checked, my question about the streetscape, project that is included in ordinance number 2019-32. Here it is. I mean, I have it. I just picked it up out in front here. It's clearly referenced that Economic Development Authority Streetscape Revitalization Grant in the amount of $972,000. The way I first read this, that there were actually two legacy projects that were being financed with this 2019-32. One of them was the Lake Como pipe, and the other one was the Main Street streetscape project.
Mrs. Administrator Kirschner?
I'm going to look at it right now. The streetscape project right now, we are still working on the streetscape project. We have problems closing it because Solar Mite, one of the construction companies, have not fulfilled their obligation for paperwork to the state of New Jersey. So we're working with the state of New Jersey to work, I believe Mr. Dasty sent a bond letter to the bonding company. So streetscape has not closed out yet. We're still owed money to close that project out, but we're having problems with one of our construction entities involved. We have our legal team assigned to go to the bond company. They're just not complying with what the state needs to do to close the streetscape project out. That's a project where the lights were too high, and they've been lowered, and now everything's working. All we want to do is get the money for the funding so we can close it out, and we're having problems with solar.
Okay, yes, I understand that, and actually, the first thing on the streetscape, Main Street streetscape project, work that should have been done was the raising of Jersey Central's power and light company's high voltage electric conductors first. This job was built 3 times over,
Yes.
over the course of more than 2 years.
Yes, sir.
And the public was put at risk out here. Usually when you do something like that, the first fatalities are male dogs. We're just lucky we didn't have any electrocutions here. My comment actually on this is, I'm very glad to hear that, and glad to see that the electric lines on Main Street were raised in accordance with electrical standards, okay? We saw that was brought to the attention of elected officials here and so on. Nothing was done with that. I see both of these two ordinances, or these two bond issues here, is that we really don't have any choice. This is legacy.
Yes,
This
sir.
is left behind.
This is what we inherited. We made sure JCP&L came in. They weren't energized at all until we actually had everything raised. We worked on it, and then of course once that got done, the pavers had to be put in place and everything. It was a whole project, and we are still trying to get the money and the funding to close it out. So it's an ongoing issue, and I hope to have it resolved before the end of the year.
Yeah. One other comment here, and quite truthfully, like I said, I don't see where the mayor council here have any choice on any of this. We have to borrow money to close these jobs out. The other thing with the Lake Como pipe, and I know there's still complications with that, with the Mazer Engineering, but I just like, I'm not gonna get an understanding here tonight, but the beneficiaries of the Lake Como pipe was Monmouth County. Ocean Avenue is owned by Monmouth County. Spring Lake, Lake Como, South Monmouth Regional Sewerage Authority, okay? And for whatever reason, Belmar decided to bankroll this thing, and now it's sitting in our lap by ourselves. All these other people are beneficiaries, and there was no sharing. This job, quite truthfully, was too big for Belmar. That's about all the comment that I have on that. I don't see, as you have any choice, you have to go out and borrow money in order to finish these jobs
We have to
out.
close the project out so we can get the funding that's allocated, that's due to us. And we still have to get that flapper valve, we still have to get that flapper valve fixed. So it's another ongoing project inherited, and we're trying to work with the federal government, the contractors, and the state to follow through with getting the funding back. So we have to do what we have to do in order to get the money back.
Yeah, one other thing, I guess what I'd like to see, and hopefully we'll get, that there'll be a set of, with the Lake Como Pipe Project, that we get a set of as-built drawings, okay? Because when this thing first started, the Borough of Belmar didn't even know that they were actually working on property that belonged to Spring Lake, okay? That pipe, the alignment of it was changed, and quite truthfully, I think we need as-built drawings in order to determine whether the pipe will actually work.
We are getting them. That's what our engineer at this time is working with the previous engineer to make sure that we have that. So that's one of the things that we're working on with DEP and everybody else.
Okay, unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, we're at the end now of the hurricane season, but, you know, we have a project down there that was, you know, left in half-done shape.
And just to make everybody at ease, our Department of Public Works, they do monitor when we get a storm or a northeastern storm. Mr. Campbell has his crew out there. We monitor the storm. We measure the flow of the lake to make sure whether it's flowing out or flowing in, to make sure we can manually get to that lake, to make sure we don't have any problems. It's what we have another Sandy, God forbid, is when the problem starts. So that's why we're diligently trying to get together with everybody to get that flapper valve fixed and get this project closed down.
Okay, thank you. No other comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Councilman Brennan made a motion to approve Resolution 2019-210. Did we have a second? Okay, Councilman Long, Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer.
Yes.
Councilman McCracken.
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli.
Yes.
Okay, public session. Yes.
Claire Hayner, 221 18th Ave. Congratulations, gentlemen. Question on the recycling that we talked about a couple of years ago. The group rentals, I believe it was just group rentals, were offered an opportunity to have recycling picked up on Monday, which I believe DPW did, for a fee of another $100 or something. If that's cost beneficial, would that be considered again? Or food for thought, leave it at
We're
that.
just talking about that.
Just
We're
talking
just
about
talking
it.
about
Okay,
it. So,
well, I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
yeah, we're going to look into it, and we'll talk to Mike Campbell and see if it can be done.
Okay.
I know a few years ago, I wasn't sure if it was garbage that was picked up out of the zone or it was just recyclables. I know it was that there happened to be a problem with them, and that's why it stopped, right, Mike?
It was rental properties, people that would leave on a Sunday, they were putting out the recycling, we picked up on Monday rather than leave it there until Wednesday. Again, I will speak to you gentlemen about the problem with that. We'll consider it.
At least they thought about it before I mentioned it.
Yes.
We're just discussing it.
Since we're talking about this again, question, do we have a program to educate those folks who are coming in for a seasonal rental as to what can go in the recycling? Because I know that it's become more strict as to what you can recycle. Just because it's plastic doesn't mean that you can put it in recycling. And yeah, maybe we don't, but if we don't, maybe that would be something to think about. We don't want barrels of recycling of red Solo cups and other things that can't be recycled. We want to make sure that the recycling that's put out is going to be.
We certainly can make sure they're getting all the information, but I believe they are given that information through code enforcement and the court clerk, or the borough clerk, when they do come in and get their permits and everything. I do believe they have that information.
Okay, good.
Again, using, more information is better. We do have different things under this administration. For example, John, we do get out things on social media and have a way to get that out. It is a good idea for people to know that. And there's also going to be changes with recycling, depending on the guidance of Mr. Kirschman, the mayor and the council. So again, there might be things that are different also, and we'll be trying to get all that information out. We've already collected the data with the apartment complexes, the businesses, things like that. So again, we'll go with recommendations, we'll put out the information, how we're gonna do it, what's gonna change, what's gonna be hopefully better, and again, information is important, so I'll certainly look into that, but I do believe they do get it. We'll look into doing it on Monday.
Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Hello again. Brett Lomas, 609 9th Ave. I had some questions about the redevelopment plan that was for Block 95. I was concerned because it wasn't posted on the website until yesterday. It seems like a major thing. And when it is a redevelopment zone, focused on just 2 adjacent properties, and then seems like it's pushed through rather quickly without any public notice, one day. I know it's a first reading, but it's concerning to me because it seems like it's trying to be, it doesn't seem like it's in the spirit of transparency, number one. My other questions are the plan. I didn't get a chance to read it super thoroughly because just saw it today. But there were some issues that I saw compared to the old, what it was replacing. Number one, the parking spaces, the number of parking spaces per unit were lowered from 3 to 2, which I think there's a parking issue there to begin with. I also, was concerned about the size. It was, 4 stories. I think the redevelopment plan calls for, or allows a 46,000 square foot building there with 30 apartment units. So that's a pretty, it's a big thing. And I was upset that I live next door to it, and I was upset that I learned about it this morning, and that the meeting was tonight for the ordinance.
So, didn't this come up through the planning board?
It did. The planning board actually last year designated that area as a redevelopment zone.
It was
And
the
now-
whole area, though.
Right, it's the whole block, from 9th to 10th on the east side of Main Street. And so now this is the plan that defines what the zoning criteria is for that block.
It's only 2. See that when they did that meeting, I think it was in 2017, I think was when they defined it. And then now this makes the zone small, is very specific to 2 of the properties in the zone, if I'm understanding correctly.
So I understand your concern, but you live right next to
I
it.
live right next to it, yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, the original plan that was presented is completely changed.
Right. And then I saw some really good changes that I liked, and I'm actually, I'm very happy that is being developed. I don't like, right now it's an empty lot with a bunch of squirrels living in the drive-through, in the back drive-through. So, I'm happy that it's being developed, but, I want to make sure that it's in in the best interest of the town and selfishly me, living next door, as anybody would be, I think.
So I think this is adding those 2 lots to that zone.
Yeah, basically making a big rectangle out of it.
Is that what it is?
No, this is-
Yeah.
This is the plan for the whole street,
Yeah,
Yes.
from 9th to 10th.
from 9th to 10th,
Right,
not just
That's
9th.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Put it in the
The
redevelopment.
draft that's there, I believe, is only 2 of the lots.
It's adding those
In
2
the
lots
zone.
to the redevelopment.
It's
zone.
adding them?
Yeah, and it's basically the municipal parking lot that's behind Taylor Hardware.
Right. Because the initial study area I saw was lots 5 and then 7 to 13. And then I don't have it in front of me, but I think this was only, this is lots 5 and 7 only.
Right, that's the ones that have to be changed.
Okay,
The rest is already
right.
And this will be going before the planning board for their approval before it comes back to
Before it
mayor and
comes back?
council for adoption.
Yeah, it still has to go through the design and review committee. Oh, yeah.
Or just planning board?
And then planning board?
Just planning board.
And we'll have to go for site plan approval eventually, and we would get notice for that through it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're definitely good.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thumbs are down, 605 Ninth Avenue. I was informed about an hour ago about this meeting about the Block 95. I've been here 37 years. I moved here because it's a nice small town. When 10th Avenue went up, give me a break. When 12th Avenue was put down, we all know why. I spoke to you, Mark, before you were mayor. And my concern, as Brett's concerned, we live right there. You don't. I want you to chew on that for a minute. I bought that house 38 years ago because it was a small community. If I see a 4-story building going up 30 feet from Brett's house, I mean, what are we doing here? Why don't we just call it Starrett City and build on building, get all the pilots in? I mean, guys, I'm a bright guy, you're bright people. What are we doing here? Is it all for this? Is that what we're doing? Are we going to keep this town the way it was in 1983 when we first moved here? I don't understand. I'm not whining. I'm telling you, I love this town. We love this place. It's changing, but come on, if it's your house, would you be standing here like I am? Or would you just say, let it go? That's for every one of you to answer. And I can't do that. And I'm telling you, I love Belmar. We love staying here, but you're making this place all for this. I just suddenly said it. Thank you.
Yes.
Anita Pecorelli, Riverbridge Apartments. I think we're ignoring the fact that the truth is we need fire trucks. Our oldest fire truck is 2008, and we're building and building and building and building and bringing more people in, and we're going to have liability that the firemen and the fire trucks and our equipment are not up to supplies. We're going to put a roof on a building, that's great. Our oldest fire truck is 2008, and they're rusty. Our firemen are volunteer and women. It's their lives they're putting on the line, and all you do is build.
Have you talked to the fire company to find out that they've met since January to try to get proposals to us?
The fire truck is 2008.
Have you talked to the fire company,
Yes,
the committee that they, I'm just asking you a question. Have you talked to the
Yes, I'm well aware that there's all these proposals out there.
There's no
It
proposals
takes-
out there. They haven't come back to us yet. We
It
have a
takes-
committee. There's a committee together to meet with us about 2 fire trucks.
That's great. It takes 2 years to make a custom fire truck.
Okay. They have to get back to their specs.
They're
I
gonna
can't
get
tell,
fired tomorrow.
I can't tell them what to buy, can
My
I?
brother's house could get on fire tonight. He's in Lake Como. He's on the far end of Lake Como.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. There's a committee in the fire company to get us the specs to meet. We hopefully will meet in the near future. They're working on it.
I'd rather see a fire truck.
Okay,
I mean,
I'll make one tomorrow.
How do we get a fire truck without putting it through a committee?
Yeah, okay. But in the meantime, you're building, you're inviting 40 units, whatever this is.
Okay.
All these people, you're coming in, are you telling all these people that are renting these places that our fire department is not up to being able to help them? Does anybody, when you buy a home, do you ask about the fire department and the first aid? No, you ask about the schools, you ask about the town, you ask about the recreation. Nobody asks about the fire department, they just assume. Our liability, should anything happen, will be through the roof. If somebody found out that our fire truck, our oldest fire truck is 2008, and we've known it for years.
Thank you.
Yes.
Joe, West on Fifth Avenue. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
The only comment I have is with regard to redevelopment. I've been doing some research into some of the past ones, and I think the town really needs to do a traffic study. I noticed in the past ones, there was no traffic study done. It was one of these things where they met with the police or whatever, and it kind of blew by the wayside. There was some comments that the developers shouldn't have to pay for a traffic study. I'm concerned that with the development on Fifth Avenue, the one on Ninth Avenue, the Seaport that's across on Fifth Avenue, which was supposed to have a 20-person car parking lot, which hasn't been done yet. You have this other thing on 10th Avenue. You know, we're providing for parking, but I don't think anybody's looking at the consequences of the additional traffic that's going to occur in the town. So I would think that before any other development goes forward, there should be a comprehensive professional traffic study done. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Rose DeGania, 201 9th Avenue. I'm reading this and it says that lots 5 and 7 are not located within the Seaport redevelopment area, which means we don't have to redevelop that area, right? It says they are not located within the Seaport redevelopment.
They're now not, that's correct.
Okay. Why can't we just leave them alone and clean up the back of those buildings? Keep it a parking lot. We could use a little buffer between the town and a residential area. I think 5 and 7 are residential anyway, or almost residential. The people that live there are gonna have a big building, they're gonna, I mean, no matter which, that one on 10th Avenue is so obnoxious and so awful. And it shades out, there's a lot of things, it's light, there's so many things that are affected. And this is a nice little town, that's why I moved here. And right now, it's turning into these big obnoxious buildings, and it feels like we're catering to builders and developers, and we're not thinking about the people in the town. I agree that is a mess back there, the little, you know, where we used to get cash and whatever, but I don't think we need more development. I think we have a lot of people in this town, I think the town is getting crowded. It still looks good. So before you make a decision to, and I don't know who was on the board when 10th Avenue, but you come over that bridge, I don't close my eyes when I'm driving, but I'd like to. So consider that what people are saying here, the people in the immediate neighborhood, but we're overdeveloping. We're really overdeveloping. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Kramer.
Gene Kramer, 4th Avenue. The other day, I passed the build-out at the intersection of 10th Avenue and Main Street on the southeast corner there. And I know there was some discussion about that a couple months back. I haven't tried to navigate through there with the wheelchair, and I'm not going to. But I tell you what, I own a corner property. My property in Belmar is a corner property. Mayor, you have a corner property in Belmar, and there's other people in the audience here likewise. There's such a thing, we have an ordinance here in town called site triangle ordinance. And we all of us corner property owners know that we can't block that site triangle, okay? The build-out that's there at the intersection of 10th and Main Street, that violates traffic safety ordinance that we have here in town. You can't see around that corner there at all. And by the way, I did check, this sidewalk dining cafe ordinance that we have here in town. It's not as bad as you may think. There is a catch-all in here that says applicants shall meet all general ordinance requirements and all other laws, rules, and regulations and codes applicable to the proposed activity. That build-out that we have that's on that corner there does not comply with the borough's site triangle requirements. There's a requirement here in town, the whole town, of a 25-foot site triangle requirement. I can't build on my property, you can't build on your property on the corner, and some of the other people here. We cannot build out to the corner. There has to be a 25, and that's measured at the street line, that's at the property line. On Main Street there, at that location, I believe the front of the building is actually on the street line. That building, if my memory, that building's been creeping over the years. I seem to recall that there used to be a Florsheim shoe store there, okay, years ago. And then they built out a bit into 10. And now it's going another step forward. It doesn't comply with the site triangle requirements here in town. And I'm not blaming the code official or anybody for issuing a permit for this, because when you look at this cafe dining permits, the fee for it is $50. It's going to cost more for the attorney now to go through the whole zoning ordinance here to find out what's not in compliance there. And that's one that's right up front, and it's a traffic safety issue now.
Yeah, I'm not sure who regulates that intersection, because of, you have the light stanchions, or now that you're talking about it, are right in the site. With the light stanchions for the traffic lights, right in the 25-foot zone. I'm not sure about if that comes under a state statute or
Excuse me a second. The site triangle requirements here in town do allow that. In fact, it says, other than, no obstruction to vision other than a post not exceeding 1 foot in diameter. Okay? So you can have a light stanchion there. Up to
well,
one.
all I can tell you, Mr. Kramer, is I had code enforcement go out, our construction officials go out, our chief of police go out. They all measured it, and they said it meets everything that we have in town. So I have to take their word for it. I didn't go out there with
I would
a ruler myself.
I would appreciate if you would look at it, and I will. I did make a copy of the applicable section of the sidewalk cafe ordinance and the requirement for site triangles in town.
Mr. Kramer, excuse me, Mayor. Mr. Kramer, I had spoken to our borough engineer, Mr. Avakian, and he and I were going to go out and look at it because we had some concerns about ADA. So we are going to look at it. We'll let you know what happens. But so far, it does meet every code, every ordinance. But we're still going to look at it.
Okay, who can I leave this with?
I'll take it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I started.
Or Fifth Avenue. You know, to kind of like follow up on, Gene's comments. Who approves, and I guess we're all talking about Flames on the corner of 10th. I happen to like the place, good place. But who approves the fact that, a business can just drop a pole in the middle of the sidewalk and build an awning? I mean, I could see a temporary structure like, Andy over at Propolis. I mean, he did the right thing. I mean, he can take it away, he can move it back. It's a permanent structure. What, is that the zoning board, the planning board?
Well, first it goes to our construction official, and then he looks to see if it meets all the requirements of the ordinance. Now, that's something we're probably gonna take a look at, because you're right.
The pole's in the middle of the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that are, even like the building next door, the poles are, even though they're not as big, they're in the middle of the sidewalk. So it's something that we're gonna have to take a look at the ordinance, and we're gonna have to
So that
redesign
falls,
that ordinance.
so they don't have to file an application for, to put a pole in the middle of the sidewalk? They could just,
Well, no, they had to have all building
do it, have the
permit.
code
They
enforcement
had to
go
have-
over, if he says, okay, it's good?
They had to have
Doesn't have to go
engineer
through a committee?
drawings, and they had to have architect drawings, and then the whole plan gets submitted just like anything else. And the construction official went through everything and granted them the permit. And, when you take a look at it, we all took a look at it and said, we gotta go back and remeasure that. You sure that this is right? So they all were back out there, everybody with their rulers, and
It's in the middle of a public sidewalk.
I know,
You know, and the idea is that, you know, I would assume, you know, that that's town property.
yeah.
You know, and how you could, you know,
Well, I know Jack's is being sold, but when I
in the
went
middle
around,
of a sidewalk that is town property, you know, it's just expanded. Are they getting taxed for that additional space, or?
I never thought of that.
I mean, you know, I mean, you know.
But I mean, if you look at Jack's Tavern, I have a problem with the light post there and the post that they put in, because it's not 4 feet. I mean, now that Jack's is being sold, it's gonna be straightened out, but actually, when you look at that one, that's worse than where Flames is.
Oh, I don't think so. I think the
No, look
Flames.
at where, when you take a look at Jack's, look at where the light pole is and their pole. It is way less than 4 feet. It doesn't meet code at all, so I don't know, you know, we're gonna have to really look at that ordinance.
You know, and, you know, the idea is that, hey, listen, if you're gonna take over town, you're gonna expand your property that far into public space, then tax them accordingly. You know, and the other thing is that, you know, to go back to what Jerry said, is the traffic thing. I mean, you know, I live on Fifth, and this is my second question. Who approves how, like, you know, the parking goes? Because when you make that right on Fifth Avenue now, it's gonna be a nightmare. You know, they have this jotted, you know, thing where, you know, and even now, when there's, you know, naturally it's construction vans that are all there right now, but you can hardly navigate around that corner. You know, on the opposite side of the street, you know, you have the other building where they have these huge bushes that are trying to hide the, you know, the high voltage power thing there. And if somebody's riding a bike over that bridge, and you know, I'm a bike rider, you know, somebody comes down over that bridge, and if they see, you know, a green light, there's a right on red there, I mean, somebody's gonna get killed. Now it's even gonna be worse, because you have the other side people coming in. I mean, who approves this stuff?
Sorry, I met with Chief Eisman today on that problem. Problem right now is with the construction vehicles, but it is a problem for that right-hand turn on red when people are going toward eastbound on Fifth Avenue. We're meeting again tomorrow because we might have to pull some of those spots out there. We also met with the owner of the building. So we're on that right now. It is a problem. That was approved, whatever.
But who approved it? My question, I guess, is, you
That
know,
was
it's
planning
not
board.
only, is that the construction of the code enforcer too, or?
No, that was planning board.
That's planning.
board,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, you know, do they look at the situation, or they just, you know, arbitrarily just say, okay, fine, it looks good, let's do it? Because what they did on Fifth, on that corner where that new building is, you know, somebody's gonna get hurt. You know, there's gonna be a collision there, and it's gonna be ongoing, you know, and hopefully no one will die as a result of it. But, I mean, some of this stuff is just, it's avoidable. You know, if there's just some thought put into the process. That's all.
All right, thanks, Si. Anyone else? Yes?
Rose Gagnon, 2019. I have a question about this. This process, does it start with you and then go to the planning board, or?
No, this process was started back in 2017.
Okay.
So we're
So
just, we're sending it back now, it goes to planning board.
Okay, when are they meeting on this?
I guess it'll have to be scheduled, right?
November 18th.
Okay, and I have another question about beach badges. Where are we with the, we didn't have beach badges from age 12 or something. You said you were going to discuss it before the next season. Is that currently being discussed?
Well, right now, there's a new state law that's being drafted, it's out of committee, and we're waiting for it to be voted on down the state, so we can comply with the state law, and all these other towns around here can comply with the state law. So.
Okay, because you do know that they've had, I mean, Point Pleasant started at 12 with the regular badge. They don't have a tiered badge. 12 years old.
Yeah, that we're allowed to do. Yeah, we're allowed to do that.
Okay.
It's all this discounting that is not in the state law.
Okay, is that something
You
we're?
can charge, but you can't discount it.
Okay,
So,
so is that something we're considering?
well, that's why I like to get the state law changed, so that, you know, the gate attendants can actually check on ages and stuff like that. Because right now, it's a little bit difficult for them.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, and we don't have another meeting before Thanksgiving, so everybody enjoy Thanksgiving.